Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever considered that the conventional story of humanity's past might be incomplete? Maybe even, deliberately obscured from public view.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because the sources we're looking at today, they propose this uh, vast global conspiracy, and they claim it has really profound implications for understanding our origins, our technology, even our current reality.
Right. So, our mission in this deep dive is to explore these particular sources, the ones that assert a deliberate suppression of information. We're talking about advanced, ancient civilizations, sophisticated technologies, and yeah, a radically different timeline of human history. We'll delve into the specific claims, what was supposedly held back, why, and what these sources suggest it means for you listening right now. So, let's start with what these sources call a scandal in the scientific world. They basically say information is deliberately held back from public view. hmm They describe it as part of a worldwide conspiracy that's been, well, going on since the beginning of time, or 6,000 illusory years of it. That's quite a statement to kick things
Right.
off.
It really is a very bold starting point. And they get quite specific about these alleged cover-ups. They mention things like artifacts deliberately dumped in the Atlantic Ocean.
Gumped, just thrown away.
That's the claim. And also that certain discovery sites banned researchers who ask embarrassing questions. They even tell a story about an archaeologist being specifically ordered to deny a major find. It paints a picture of active suppression, not just, mistakes.
Active suppression.
Yeah.
And the scope of this alleged conspiracy, well, according to these sources, it's just immense. It supposedly involves everything: UFOs, aliens, reptilians, religion, super technologies, evolution, and our true past. It's like a unified theory of hidden everything.
Exactly. And to back this up, they present a whole series of, let's call them historical anomalies. Take the Black Knight satellite, for instance. It's a famous one in these circles. These sources claim that after the Soviets launched Sputnik in '57, they found that another satellite was already up there.
Already there before Sputnik.
That's the claim.
Yeah.
They cite former French astronomer Jacques Cabré-Vallée from the Paris Observatory. Allegedly, he saw it 3 times in 1961, got 11 data points in 45 seconds, and noted it seemed to be orbiting in reverse.
In reverse.
Yeah, at an altitude over 22,000 miles, which, if true, well, it predates any known human launch that could do that.
Orbiting backwards and there before us. That is quite a detail. And these claims, they aren't just limited to Earth orbit, are they?
No, not at all. The sources also dig into possible Mars civilizations. They talk about a Soviet scientist, a defector apparently, who claimed that photos from an orbiting satellite launched in 1982
Okay.
clearly showed the ruins of temples that was once a civilization on the Red Planet.
Temples on Mars.
That's what he allegedly claimed, describing a city the size of Moscow, ringed by wide boulevards with huge temples. Some apparently still had domes measuring 2 to 4 miles in diameter.
4 miles. That's enormous.
It is. And furthermore, the sources add that 30 U.S. scientists apparently believe that photos from the 1976 Viking spacecraft also hinted at an ancient Martian civilization.
So you have claims from different sides, different decades, pointing to ruins on Mars.
Right. From the source's perspective, that consistency is compelling.
Hmm.
And then bringing it back to Earth, they discuss what they call Earth's hidden technologies.
Right.
They mention an ex-CIA Standeo. He supposedly worked on secret government UFO projects.
Oh, what does he say?
He asserted there's hushed-up technology of these flying discs and claimed there are underground bases all around the world, which include off-world bases where this stuff happens.
Underground and off-world bases.
Yeah. And he described this system of compartmentalization, where people only get one piece of the jigsaw puzzle at a time.
So nobody sees the big picture.
Exactly. Which, according to him, allows the possibility that man holds the secret of anti-gravity and can produce flying saucers at will. They even bring in a retired airline pilot, Bruce Cathey. He reportedly sighted many UFOs whilst a commercial pilot.
Like seeing them while flying.
Yes, including apparently seeing a huge flying disc coming out of the Pacific Ocean, which got 33 radar contacts.
33 radar contacts, that's specific. And the secrets, these sources claim, they even extend to our own moon.
They do. They mention a large milky white stone found in Tibet back in 1725. Apparently, ancient documents claim this stone was brought from the moon, and a 1952 Soviet expedition allegedly confirmed these documents.
Brought from the moon in 1725 or earlier.
Or much earlier, according to the ancient text. And what's more, these scrolls supposedly also describe the moon's surface, landscapes, craters, and monuments built on the moon.
Monuments on the moon described in ancient Tibetan scrolls. Okay,
Yeah.
so if we take these sources at face value, what does this all mean for what we thought we knew about space, about our cosmic neighborhood? It suggests there's a lot more to the story.
A lot more. And if we connect this to the bigger picture they're painting, these sources propose something equally radical about human history itself. They suggest that all cultures began suddenly and fully developed 6,000 years ago.
Suddenly, not gradually evolving.
No, appearing at their peak from the beginning, which obviously is a major departure from conventional timelines.
That is a significant claim. It implies this incredible ancient sophistication right from the start. And that connects to another idea from the sources, doesn't it? About Earth itself.
Yes, the idea of Earth as a giant generator, with its land masses crisscrossed through the energy lines. The assertion is that these ancients harnessed magnetic currents across the planet, turning it into one big, gigantic scientific instrument.
A planetary instrument.
Okay.
And the structures built along these lines.
Right, situated at what they call terrestrial power points. They claim ancient structures were built there. Temples, pillars, rocking stones, circles, crosses, mounds, pyramids, tunnels, and platforms. Traces are apparently dotted still around the world, every continent, and even on remote islands.
Like the standing stones. Menhirs.
Exactly. Thousands upon thousands of pillars called menhirs arose in symmetrical formation, allegedly to realign Earth magnetism. It's noted these stones were all rich in quartz, and the sources point to modern experiments showing cosmic influences do affect magnetic currents at the Earth's surface.
Any examples of that?
Yeah, they mention things like green tomatoes placed within a magnetic field have been shown to ripen 4 to 6 times faster, or seeds placed in a current grow many times faster.
Interesting. So this wasn't just about magnetism. This network had other uses.
Allegedly, yes. Things like propulsion and also for transport, power production and communication, and even healing. There's a specific claim about Stonehenge in the UK that millions of taxpayers' money was spent to fence it off, keeping the public out during the solstice, while elite members would participate in a healing and energy ritual.
And the pyramids, where do they fit in?
The sources argue that the earlier pyramids were not built as tombs. They were part of this worldwide network.
Part of the grid.
Exactly. And with thousands of pyramids worldwide, they suggest this points to a single authority, or a kind of ancient world order. They even mention the city of Babel, later to become Babylon, as being a political center for world government, supposedly controlling the world through this global energy center.
A truly global, unified civilization managed through this energy grid. That's the picture they're painting.
It is. And they bolster this with claims of incredibly sophisticated ancient technology that just doesn't fit the standard model.
Like the Piri Reis map, dated 1508, but they claim it's much older.
Right. They say it goes back more than 5,000 years and was so accurate that the Hydrographic Office couldn't believe it at first. Supposedly, it was even used to correct errors in some present-day maps.
And what does it show that's so controversial?
It allegedly depicts Greenland free of glaciers, as it was prior to the Ice Age, also the landmass of Queen Maud Land in Antarctica before there was ice, and even the Sahara Desert shown as a fertile land with large lakes, rivers, and cities.
Which would imply
Right.
ancient explorers with incredible mapping tech.
Essentially, yes. Knowledge of cartography comparable to our own, using spherical trigonometry and ultra-modern methods. Techniques we usually think are much more recent.
Okay.
Hmm.
What other technologies do these sources mention? It seems like quite a list.
Oh, it's extensive. They list things like computers, X-ray crystals, mercury motors, cloaking technology, vortex mirrors.
Cloaking technology.
That's what they claim. Also, Egyptian drills 500 times faster than modern power drills. And get this, precision Mayan surgical instruments were 1,000 times sharper than modern platinum plus blades.
1,000 times sharper. How would they even measure that?
Good question. The sources don't elaborate on the methodology, but the claim is there. Along with machine-cut optical lenses, screen projectors, Egypt's mysterious moving walls, automatically flashing lights, and lamps that shone century after century nonstop.
Lamps that never went out. That's a classic trope of lost ancient tech.
It is, and they mention 716 rhythmically pulsating electric discs similar to computer discs found in caves in Bayern Carnola Mountains.
Like ancient hard drives.
Something like that, perhaps. They also claim ancient texts reveal the secret of making planes invisible and describe luxuries, ancient cruise ships, fashion, levitation, and anti-gravity.
Ancient cruise ships, levitation. It sounds like science fiction.
It does. There's even the singing statue of Memnon and its twin, which supposedly emitted a thin, high-pitched sound like a chord on a harp at dawn for 200 years.
Okay, so the sources are basically saying the evidence for advanced ancient tech is overwhelming.
That's their conclusion, yes. They state, evidence is overwhelming about ancient technologies, and it's now starting to surface. This all sounds crazy, but this is the tip of the iceberg.
Right. Now, this is where it gets really interesting because the sources then shift gears. They directly challenge our whole understanding of evolution and the age of the Earth. They're proposing a radically different timeline, suggesting our current understanding is, well, fundamentally wrong.
Yes, and their argument against evolution is quite direct. They flat out assert that evolution is an absolute denial of the second law of thermodynamics, which, is a highly debated interpretation in science.
Okay, and what else?
They suggest Hollywood's picture of early humans as pitiful ape men is 100% speculation, and that the Stone Ages, the Paleolithic and the Neolithic, they claim these have never existed.
Never existed, so no gradual development.
According to these sources, no. They dismiss that entirely. They also critique geological charts as largely hypothetical, based on this idea of uniformitarianism, steady, slow change, which they say is further from the truth.
And their evidence against this slow, steady view.
They point to things like remains of marine and land animals are mixed up in every possible sequence,
What?
or human relics found even inside coal beds, sometimes with or beneath the bones of dinosaurs.
Implying they were deposited together, not millions of years apart.
That's the implication they draw, yes, simultaneous deposition.
So they're questioning the timeline and also the dating methods themselves.
Exactly. They question the accuracy of methods like carbon-14, especially beyond about 3000 BC. They quote a Nobel winner, Dr. W.F. Libby, who was allegedly shocked to discover this limitation, saying these ancient ages are not known accurately.
And they give that example of the living mollusk dating as 3,000 years old.
Yes, using that to highlight potential anomalies in dating. They even quote the evolutionist Richard Leakey from a 1973 National Geographic article about a specific skull found in Kenya.
What did he say?
Leakey reportedly said, "Either we toss out this skull or we toss out our theories of early man," highlighting a potential conflict with existing theories.
So how do they explain fossils that look like ape men?
They propose they aren't ancestors, but rather degenerates from the main stock, maybe due to interbreeding from isolation. They even claim the classic descriptions of Neanderthal man are largely based on the remains of someone suffering from severe arthritis.
Ah, so distorting the appearance and the whole Stone Age idea.
They claim it never existed, only stone cultures. Their reasoning is that metal will barely survive long periods of weathering, so only stone tools are left, giving a false impression.
That's an interesting point about preservation bias.
It is, and they add another intriguing claim, that the fossil record presents better developed specimens than those now living, often with larger size. They see this as a blow to the evolutionary concept of simple to complex progression.
Pattern developed in the past, larger size.
That's the claim. They also bring up famous hoaxes like Piltdown Man, the proven fraud with an orangutan jaw and human skull fragment, and Nebraska Man, supposedly based on a single pig's tooth.
Right, using those to suggest the whole field is unreliable.
Essentially, yes, to cast doubt on the established narrative.
And what about Lucy, the famous Australopithecus fossil?
They question her status, too, claiming that when the bones were studied, they matched a chimpanzee rather than man, and that Lucy is a mosaic assembled from bones found in different spots.
A mosaic? Okay.
And they quote a Dr. Austin Clark, described as a leading U.S. government biologist of Smithsonian Institute, as stating clearly, there is no such thing as a missing link.
So, no missing links, no ape men ancestors. What do they propose instead? Giants.
Exactly. They contrast this with claims of gigantic human beings in the past, quoting a Dr. Louis Burkhalter, who apparently considered it a scientifically assured fact, and someone named Virchow from Manhattan's American Museum of Natural History is also cited as believing giganticism and massiveness may have been a general character of early kind.
Giants. How would that even work biologically?
Well, the sources get a bit speculative here. It suggests that electromagnetic energy supersedes the orthodox laws of gravity, maybe explaining how gigantic size and long life go together, which leads them to this sweeping claim: man was once a higher, superior being, certainly not a species of the monkey family. We are only a shade of the original man.
Wow. A shade of the original man. Okay. So where did it all go wrong, according to them?
This brings us to a really pivotal event described in the sources: A universal catastrophe, a deluge.
The Great Flood.
Essentially, yes, but with a specific man-made cause, according to these sources. They blame greed, lust, and power from an egotistic ancient elite. Around 3,398 BC, this elite allegedly tried an experiment using two pyramids and some kind of unknown technologies and rituals.
An experiment? For what?
Apparently, in an attempt to separate themselves from all other life and create their own separate reality outside the original 3D Matrix creation.
Create their own reality. Okay, then it went badly.
Very badly. The sources say it failed miserably, causing universal mayhem and causing a huge catastrophe on Earth and the surrounding planets. They give a specific date, November the 17th, 3,398 BC. On that day, the Earth gave an enormous shudder, tilted on its axis.
The axis tilted.
That's the claim, resulting in tidal waves of 6,000 feet swept towards the poles and a blanket of lava and asphyxiating gases extinguished all life.
6,000-foot tidal waves, that's almost unimaginable, truly apocalyptic.
Completely. And the consequences, they say, were devastating. This cataclysm wiped the mother civilization from the face of the Earth, destroyed all the technological achievements, all form of machinery and construction.
Is that where the geology comes in? The sedimentary layers?
Yes. They mention that over 75% of the Earth's surface is sedimentary in nature, extending as in India to 60,000 feet deep, linking this vast deposition to the deluge event. And it wasn't just physical destruction. The deluge allegedly changed Earth's magnetic fields dramatically, caused chromosome breakdowns in all living species, which affected prolonged life and size.
So that's why things supposedly got smaller and lived shorter lives.
That's the connection they make. They also claim consciousness and awareness dropped dramatically, and something they call the so-called God gene, called VMAT2, sometimes linked to the pineal gland, and spirituality was severely affected.
Okay, so what does this interpretation mean for you, the listener? The sources seem to suggest this cataclysm wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a consequence of deliberate actions by an ancient elite, leading to this drastic shift in human existence, impacting our biology, our lifespan, even our perception of reality.
Exactly. And in the aftermath, as described in these sources,
Well,
millions of people had vanished in the deluge. The survivors left with no technologies scattered all over the world. They also add that great inland seas remained on all continents for some time after.
and the elite who supposedly caused this, where were they?
The sources claim that hundreds of years later, they started coming out from their underground facilities and flying back from their off-world bases.
Coming back, and to the scattered survivors, they would appear to be gods, right?
That's the idea. But interestingly, the sources claim the elite themselves weren't doing so well. They were quite ill.
Ill. From what?
Due to the magnet changes and changes on every level of reality. The sources call it the glitch in the matrix, or the schism. This apparently led them to try and preserve their bloodlines by interbreeding with themselves and some of the survivors, which resulted, they claim, in the generations that followed shrank in size, including other life forms too, and they no longer lived those long lifespans as they had enjoyed before the deluge.
So even the elite were diminished by this event they supposedly caused.
According to this narrative, yes. And that original totalitarian world government, based at Babel, it apparently collapsed because the deluge destroyed communications, breaking apart the alliance.
But the memory, the knowledge, it didn't completely disappear.
Apparently not. The sources suggest the memory lingered, and within 400 years, the sudden birth of the supercultures began again. But not quite the same. Right. The technologies were not as superior. But, they claim, the plans to build the worldwide energy grid had started again. And within 1,300 years, Babylon was at power again for the second time.
A cycle. Rise, fall, rise again. Did it fall again?
It did, according to these sources. Around 1700 BC, they claim nuclear warfare had come swiftly and without warning.
Nuclear war in 1700 BC.
That's the assertion, leaving behind ruined buildings with walls like thick slabs of crystal, likewise holed, split, and corroded by some mysterious force. They describe scenes where walls, furniture, people melted, then crystallized, concluding that only the heat released through atomic energy could have done this damage.
Melted and crystallized, like glassification at nuclear test sites.
That seems to be the parallel they're drawing. And this second fall, they say, led to the Dark Ages, where the few records of technology were kept from the unworthy and guarded zealously by secret societies.
Which leads back to the idea of ongoing suppression, doesn't it? The sources claim this continues today.
Precisely. They state the elite mindset, being not at all concerned with the matter of lying conjured forth the systems needed to perpetuate this deception.
And they make some specific, very controversial claims about historical groups here.
They do. They mention magicians who received this knowledge, who they claim would eventually, many centuries later, become known as the Hebrews, and then the Israelites. The sources allege this group was used and manipulated and abused beyond belief by their leader rulers, and used to shed blood and destruction, all in the name of God. They go on to suggest the masses today are in a total hypnotic trance state, still worshiping the God of the Jews. Now again, we need to stress we are simply relaying the claims made in these sources, not endorsing them.
Understood. It's crucial context. And this idea of ongoing deception ties into the alleged destruction of historical records, right?
Yes, they emphasize how much might have been lost, citing the Great Library of Alexandria once holding supposedly 1 million volumes, but 700,000 destroyed by Caesar, and Arabs later using books as fuel for 6 months.
That story about the library fuel is often debated, but the scale of loss is the point here.
Exactly. They also mention losses at the Library of Pergamos, Athens, 300,000 books in Constantinople burned by Leo Isarus, book burnings in China by Emperor Qin Shi Huang.
Qin Shi Huang, right.
Also, thousands of Druidic scrolls destroyed by Caesar, and almost the entire Mayan literature except for 4 documents destroyed by the Spanish. Their conclusion: less than 1% of the Greek and Roman literature has come down to us, suggesting vast amounts of knowledge are just gone.
And this connects to their point about vanishing evidence in general.
It does. They argue that most modern structures wouldn't last 1,000 years. They'd decay to rubble, red dust, or just dust. Only stone really endures. Stone is the only indestructible material, they claim.
So if a future archaeologist only found our stone tools, they might assume,
as the sources put it, that 20th century man was not yet familiar with iron. It highlights how interpretations depend entirely on what survives.
which reinforces their idea of hidden knowledge.
Absolutely. They make the startling claim that only 4% of all knowledge in universities are actually made public. 96% is hidden.
96% hidden. Where?
Well, they claim the High Council has collected rare books and kept them hidden in libraries at secret locations all around the world. And they point specifically to the Vatican, calling it the largest library in history and is the biggest suppressor of secretive information, protected by the highest technically advanced security system, including even astral security.
Astral security, okay.
Yeah.
And specific locations for forbidden treasures.
They mention the catacombs beneath the Potala in Lhasa, Tibet, Morocco, and a secret place known to a few initiated rabbis believed to be in Spain and the Vatican.
And it's not just libraries, but unexplored places on Earth, too.
Right. Immense expanses of the interior of Central and South America, New Guinea, Asia, and Australia are mentioned as areas still not explored, potentially holding more secrets.
So tying this all together, what are the contemporary implications, according to these sources? What's happening now based on this hidden history?
They paint a picture of the modern elite operating from underground bases, involved in high UFO activity, colonization of planets, secret moon activities, strange experiments, atomic testing, and manipulating regional wars. All while, allegedly, hyping various narratives of false alien agenda, Noah's flood and religious cleansing, New Age deceit, and even depopulation of the planet.
And hoarding technology.
Yes, claiming hoarded, hidden technology 100 years in advance to what the public is allowed is kept deliberately out of view.
Given all these extraordinary claims of hidden history, suppressed technology, and ongoing manipulation, the sources really push you to ask, are you not a tad concerned or worried something very strange is going on? We have to ask ourselves this question they pose. Is history just about to repeat itself? So today we've taken a really deep dive into these sources that present a radically different history of humanity, suggesting a past that was far more advanced technologically and maybe even biologically, and a present potentially far more controlled than we might typically imagine.
And the core message from these sources seems to be that the shackles of ignorance, as they put it, can be broken. By understanding this hidden information, particularly the insights they claim exist around our true past and the power we hold deep inside.
Which leaves us with a final thought, building on what these sources suggest. If there's this pattern of hidden knowledge and suppressed truth throughout history, what aspects of our present reality might also be part of a carefully constructed narrative? A narrative perhaps designed, as these sources imply, to keep us from understanding our full potential, something to consider.